this morning. We can talk to the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Dr. David Senge, we can tell you about different things that don't happen at the ministry for help improve on the basic education in the country as it don't attend different international sessions them where it don't be part of and it go explain you we waiting come out inside the international sessions and they usai it go represent Salone and how that will get for impact na the education sector na the country. One panel maybe attend na the COP26 climate and on education. It may also be part of the high level steering committee where it attend the Paris Peace Forum and also they can tell you about the education sector plan development and GPE eligibility and plenty other things them where the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education don't they do this BNTM for the education sector. Good morning and welcome to the program, Dr. Senge.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, before we can go na the international forums them where you been be part of this BNTM on behalf of Salone which you present today and waiting come from then different international meetings and the way you may attend. Let me just know they can say charity the begin at home, now the host. Waiting on they happen locally in terms of basic education where they lead before we can go international. Waiting at the latest updates na the basic education sector.
Thank you. Actually, the thing with the local, as you say, really important. Just this week, we get several activities then where they go on. With the girls in they call teaching at the right level. Usually, the way we're picking in the land, all picking different. All man sabi different thing, all my background different. So parts of what they do within the ministry now, how we want for improve learning outcomes for each individual picking. And so we look at how we explore within the call teaching at the right level, for get program on that day, for training with teacher them. We also for picking them, like inside early childhood development, nursery school and primary school, we look at what's in they call play-based learning. And this now a partnership between governments of Sierra Leone, BRAC International, and Rights to Play, where Lego Foundation the support. But and so these all man people in the community, all the teacher training institution them, the university there, private sector, private nursery school association, government, TSC, and we look at how we bring more play into curriculum because through play, particularly for small picking, nine in the land with creativity and all. And then on the most important thing where they happen right now in the country in the education sector, now we education sector plan where they develop across the entire sector from pre-primary to tertiary institution them. And this really would they do in close collaboration with now we also they do co-leads with Ministry of Technical and Higher Education because now one sector. And the education sector plan, now they tell we and the country what we want for the in 5 years. Now then the government they fund education on, now then the international partner and they fund education on. And waiting interesting about this process is that now first of all, now the first thing is we local Salone people and now we they develop now we they lead we sector plan development. That's one. Two, now the first thing is when the ministry now in the lead, now in the capacity they from. We director them from Ministry of Technical and Higher and Ministry of Basic, now then the lead on this process. And the minister then, particularly Minister Ahuri, I want to tell and thank you, now on the champion this, Minister Wuri, fully involved in this process and the lead on the ESP development. And we do what they call education sector analysis, and then they're available. We do a thorough, in-depth analysis of what's in the sector. We do what they call joint sector review across all districts, and we've been getting a forum, that international forum on future of education dialogue, the education dialogue, where people then come up from all sides. And we don't the lead writer then are local consultants there. Now then we hire and train and people don't know the ministry and they don't draft then they will don't bring then the back out to the people. We they bring school picking them. So it's so inclusive that school picking them self get voice pan this. We bring CSO then. We don't engage a consortium of CSO then we the inside the sector for go out into all the districts then. We don't engage NGO them through service level agreements and we Ministry of Planning, we really they collaborate with them. So now a really wonderful example of how ESP for the we partner there like GPE, UNICEF. Then they look to it and then they gladly for the example with Salone they do lead with.
Talking about education sector development plan, and you see Salone they develop their own sector plan now. For somebody who they listen, waiting are the key things them we they inside this sector development plan we will change the narrative in education system.
Thank you. So we been get plan, and now the plan just they expire now, and so big after and which will be one for do now that will not be just one. We come with free quality school education. We change all thing at once. So the plan will be in the 2018 to 2020. We been get a plan, and then we extend that to 2021. Now we develop the 2022 plan moving forward. Then get within they call Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, winning the whole world being done decide on waiting we need for meet by 2030. And SDG 4, now they talk about quality education. And SDG 4 primarily they talk about inclusive and equitable access to learning, lifelong learning. And so we ESP they focus on this inclusion. So one of the major parts then how for make sure say all man get access to quality education. So I mean radical inclusion, the one in a village, the one that we get disability, the one that we not get money for pay. So this is a major part. Inclusion, equity, access, a major part to we guaranteeing education sector financing. You know, Salone one part the example them around the world where they invest in human capital, and we talk about human capital. And they use you as a model because we try. We not get plenty money, but we still they invest in education. So how for figure out then they how for engage with private sector. Inside they have for innovate data and digitization and evidence like a major part to it they do. And then this lifelong learning part here, so that we picking come on through basic education, they able go through technical tech TVET, they able go pursue through SSS and go formal academia and go into skills development. So skills development, a major part. I want for, and maybe we'll come back to the climate change. But now, again, we inside this ESP, they put climate education a major part with ESP.
And earlier you talk about when I do an analysis on the sector. Doing the analysis and with the sectors them we don't mention or the body them we don't mention, stakeholders them, waiting exactly when I not say that the key factors them we they draw back education at the
country. Excellent question. So the analysis they available online, but teachers, right? So teacher management, teacher quality, teacher level, teacher. The world, not just Salone, but the world need for rethink about how would they approach teacher them. I mean, talked to the minister in Italy. About 80% of the education budget now for teacher salary. For we, about 75% of our education budget now on teacher and university and recurrent salary, right? So it's not abnormal. This is not a global thing. Teacher they make up about I think 40 between 40 to 43% of the entire payroll. But not to just that we not get enough teachers for teach the picking them, but it is also that unfortunately the quality of the teacher then also vary, particularly where you go now urban and remote remote and rural areas. And so we get many cases where especially the teacher that will not be on payroll, not get the qualification, not get the skills for the teach. We just published within they call the EGRA. So they do plenty analysis na the ministry for inform what they do. EGRA na the early grade reading assessment and the early grade mathematics assessment for beginning with the primary school. And you know it's disappointing, but plenty of the question that we the picking every answer, the teacher themselves not able to answer them. Many of the instances in this. So if the teacher not happy, you're not able to teach. If the teacher said, so we need for and now then be one pan the major thing that we find and we try for think outside the box on how we go address teacher quality and teacher availability and teacher access.
So moving a bit from within in a paper policies them and other things that we don't make mention of as to waiting on I don't do so far. Let we go to the realities on the ground. You don't be minister for over 2 years now at the Ministry of
just about 2 years. Tomorrow night I'm 2 years by day.
Okay, 2 years now the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. how you go describe the current status of the classrooms them in terms of furnitures and other facilities them we suppose for the schools them?
Excellent question, and then I one pandy challenge them as well. Now, and a couple of reports just come out actually where they mention out of school. So we get the out of school study, and just at one of the things in the workshop, then what they happen right now, they develop a strategy for out of school strategy right now. The team then they as well they develop this as we speak. You get the out of school girls report. We get the streets children report. And even with all of this, right, then reports there, they tell we say, we still get Boku picking them within our street, within our house, we're not in our school. Then at one, okay, so more hold that out there. The second part now that when free quality school education, when President Bill started free quality school education inside 2018, we add nearly 10% of the population to the classroom inside one instance. Over 700,000 picking and go from pre-primary through senior secondary. But we not add immediately. It's not possible for me to add, classrooms where they accommodate. Well, because if I tell you it's a kind of school today, I'm not going to build classroom today. The classroom they take 1 year,
but
2 years.
But you call me for going to school where say I not get, for example, site for Sidom, the provisional days.
No, we provide furniture. So slowly, and actually, again, back to evidence. We have been there, Paris. I've been there, talk to somebody where they talk about what they call stunting, right? So human capital development. Generally, they talk about 3 different things there. One, what they call quality learning adjusted years. That means say how many years you spend at school and how many years you actually did learn. The second part is stunting, nutrition, and then the third part now maternal health. So now they determine a country in human capital development. But so this is one for measure. This report here say actually they measure the effect of stunting pan quality learning versus the number of picking in a classroom to teacher. So often we look for say, if it be, and inside we education act or we policy, if it be 20-1, if it be 40-1. But actually, where you take a step back in terms of whether the picking the land or not, the effect of stunting and nutrition significantly greater and get a lot more impact on the picking learning outcome as to whether a 40 or 41 or 77 picking in a class. So, one, yes, you need to get a lower number of picking within a class, but the point around learning, the most important variable, not so that we get 40 picking in a class, and that this act being the same, people it being hard to understand. And this principle, not just the principle of inclusion, we rather 80 picking in a class, we to one teacher with the learn than 40 in a class with the learn comfortably and the other 40 they on the bridge. It's just that we need to forget a lot of we picking them for go through literacy. That said, over the last 3 years, we actually don't add plenty classroom there and don't build plenty school then. Add plenty furniture then. So that if you look at the annual school census, you see say the number of classroom that we need repair, they go down.
So now that's just bring me to the next question. So you're a man of data, you look for the talk and they back them up with figures and the actuality as per waiting on a kingdom gather. So inside the past 3 years where government don't implement the free quality education, waiting you go safely say now the number of schools them we get the exact classroom and furnitures them we suppose for the schools them where on the implement the free quality education.
So you don't get exact number. I know. So parts of people then like for say, if it'll be 40-1 or if it'll be 25-1. The world and evidence don't the show say that number they arbitrary, right? So if you get big classroom, if you get big hall, you're able to put 70 people inside big hall.
Yeah, but like later they say like you want for safely say for the Western area, for example, we get 6 government schools where we know say it get complete the structure complete. We get chairs and other facilities.
We get chair and no picking on the way to sit on the rain or on the sand.
Now the whole country.
No, we know they sit down there. If picking the way they go sit on the rain or on the sand and which back to climate, and we get what's in they call makeshift structures.
Because now that's how I'm going
so makeshift structures. not a structure, not to understand and not really to sit down. Me self don't go na be village na won't be na inside Court Barry the beginning of the land class 1
They
to
all
class
get
3.
chair.
Inside the Court Barry, yes, and they sit down. But my point is not to say na inside Court Barry them in the land now. Then and sit down build school for them, you know. But the point is that the essence of learning, actually, if we think about the learning outcomes, yes, they try to bring safe, conducive environments and that make who they build. By the way, inside the current project who they deploy, they build 510 classrooms, additional 510 classrooms over the next 3 years. So we understand the value of capital development in this, but we understand the value of capital development, we understand the value of curriculum, we understand the value of teacher and teacher training, we understand the value of the safe environment, and we do all of that at the same time.
The program na Good Morning Salone, we the country from 98.1 FM. We will bring you this edition of the program Good Morning Salone. Uzakman Aminim.
And Mabel Kaba.
We still get the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education inside the program, Dr. David Senge. There they talk about the issues them or the activities that within they do as a ministry for ensure they improve the learning condition in the country. Mr. Minister, we don't talk about the access, teachers' access, and also other things that they face the education sector. But one most important thing where people they get challenged with the free quality education are that most times we picking them go down sit for schools them when then for going then schools them, whether the principals or somebody around the school they ask for money, and sometimes the money plenty to an extent that some parents then they find it difficult for afford them. What thing they do in this sector plan development for include school authorities them for making them know the essence of what exactly what they do, and tap for take plenty money in a period they earn.
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, over the last 3 years, we don't increase the number of, actually between 2018 and 2020. I don't know, they can't do the 2021 annual school census now. We increased the number of schools and where they get government subsidy from about 60% to 80%. And what does that mean? That means say if you now government school, public school, right? Government or government assisted, where they get government money. You don't need for take money in a picking hand or parenting hand for tuition free or for exam. So just the last couple of days, then send me video of some parents them with them and they take I think 75,000 or so now they hand Waterloo. Waiting we do, we take that video, we send that to the deputy director send that to the school quality assurance officer, what they call inspector, go now the school, engage the principal say, you know, even be no, then they meet the principal, then they meet the cross section of the teacher them, and now they get to meet a lot more of the parents. So a couple things in that process of how we will correct the issue. Great, some parents capture the incidents. Then reporter in this case through social media, but I want to pick family then do say then go able to contact with 8060 any number call 8060 now we situation room now the best way for make me we get on directly, or you go now you school board, or you go now you find your quality assurance officer in number now your area and contact them. But either way, a parent take action, it can't so then we close the loop as well in terms of quality assurance. And then the school head get for take action again with everybody. But I mentioned this pipeline because for make we solve that kind of problem the way you talk, all man need for take action. The Cumbra first of all no need for pay money. You know, plenty time we Cumbra then can and explain and then you ask them say, okay, but why make you pay this money? Oh, I just want me picking go and the watch no more. I just want me picking convent no more. Is that but you picking get inside other school, but you don't want for me picking go to that school. So one, just for me we accept say not to all man we able go to a certain school then, because we just get too many people there. We put for that school there. If you don't accept that day, then now you go begin for member now have to go Ben way. And if you try for go Ben way, one Juma within at the gates go one service man go take advantage of the Ben for say I want small money. And often, you know, we people then can report to we and me quality assurance officer then can say, tell me the school, tell me the teacher where take the money that you had, tell me the school, and say, no, I don't go want to talk because I know one problem for me picking. I understand. But we're not able to solve then kind educational corruption and they, if you not tell me now who's principal or who's school or who's teacher, because they take action. We don't suspend plenty teacher there. We don't suspend plenty principal then, the CPSS and NACOT, then they take action.
But when I don't they make this known to the public, for example, school A, we don't suspend this person because of this or this, because naming and shaming can get impact past do them secretly when at the school something no more know the public no.
I don't think so that secret will be the one, but then a good idea. I think say
so now
next
school
time
them when I don't ever suspend principal or head teacher for
I go engage my
alleged
team.
corrupt practice.
I go engage my team and then I go make them know say you don't come with good ideas, say more may we make a public.
So let me look at this sector plan, development plan, and this issue we talk about because it get great impact on the education sector. Who side in the ask couple from parents them. How would they include this sector or these parts na the sector development plan for ensure say una eradicate them or minimize them?
Yeah, I think they require multi-stakeholder. So in the same way anti-corruption, the act add education corruption as part of the major offenses within the charge for. We need for look at we act them. We ministry they currently get for updates with Education Act, with the Developer Basic and Secondary Education Act out of the Education Act of 2004. The act will be developed in 2004. Again, Dr. Wuri do a fantastic job attending as a minister, that been just post-war, and we look at how we bring more girls in school, more rural schools, develop more schools, build the institution and the school boards and school management committee. But now different. Now we need for equip the school them and the school management committee and board them for take more action. And so inside this ESP, one panitina and we as well as school management, really how people then will take responsibility. You know, unfortunately, some school boards then they I don't people then they say, and I mean they're not I know engage on that. They say school boards they go sue or they take government in a court for something. It don't make sense because the school board then they represent we as government. The school board now for implement within government want for do now they manage the school then. And so I really think say we for strengthen the school management committee and board of governors then for be responsible and take action in the interest of the Peking there, but with government position.
Okay, continue for the with me inside the program. Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Dr. David Senge.
The program Good Morning Salone, they continue, and we still get the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education at the studio this morning. David Senge, they are the talk, Dr. David Senge, they are the talk about waiting the ministry don't they do so far as well. Coincidentally, tomorrow you say they make you 2 years as minister, now the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. So apart from the paperwork, waiting you go explain say now the landmark success stories them way Dr. Senge don't achieve inside 2 years as minister at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, taking into consideration the realities of waiting they happen on at the schools them.
I mean, I think so too. I'll answer that differently. Personally, as an individual, I don't privilege for serve. I don't think there's no better thing one can do than for serve you country and for be of service. And so I want to tell President Bill plenty thank you for where he puts confidence in me for being in this position. That blessing and privilege. So then personally, but as a ministry, we get plenty things that we don't happen at the ministry we all can be proud of. We all as the staff, but we all as citizens as well, because we all picking the benefits from education. One, the curriculum. Somebody independently came to me this week and say, it decide for can Salone, it volunteer on a Salone. It decide for can volunteer on a Salone because they read the basic education curriculum all right and the framework. That's all I say for thank you to the CEO and the rest of the team because they really do a fantastic job. So with curriculum not been there. We'll not be get curriculum framework. And right now we get and lucky inside 2018 we can again one of the fantastic things that we the former minister do in the previous governments now, they may not begin then work on the ECD curriculum with UNICEF. But now we get curriculum framework and ECD work. We get basic education, primary and junior secondary school curriculum framework. We get civic education curriculum framework and material. And now we get a draft of the SSS curriculum framework as well. We'll get for lead to syllabus them. So this is really fantastic for our country, because we're not going to talk about quality education if we know change and develop what we're picking in for land. The next, so then one of the things that we don't do, we're really proud of as a ministry. The next thing now on the data and digitization, we don't bring Salone are the only country in Africa we annual school census data from 2012 to 2020 linked, matched. We're able to do all kinds of study and analysis on.
How people access them?
You can ask we, but for the last 2 years, 3 years, the education data hub, they online, and people then they reach out to we and they collaborate. So we actually get a thorough level of data, and so I can say, it no matter which indicator you look at today, it better pass yesterday, it better pass it before yesterday, that because we get the data and because we look at all the different indicators there. So data and digitization, the person the leader and the Mrs. Adama Momo and the planning team don't do really, really well with the annual school census. And this now a legacy. And this now they allow we for build technology and solution there, like the exam checkout, the results analysis, because we also link the results. So data and digitization are the second one. The third one are really on policies. We don't implement plenty policy then, radical inclusion, anti-corporal punishment, the teacher harmonized policies and guidelines. We really done the push forward with regards to evidence decision making. And then maybe the inclusion and access. Education radio, for example, we know where COVID happened, we need education radio, and now we even further expand and we do analysis for match side we need for put the radio transmitter there. Now we don't buy 4 new transmitter there, and what would they get for install? And really the goal that will for bring education radio as a normal part of learning and for reach all sides.
So you go say inside this 2 year where you don't do at the Ministry of Education, quality don't do na the educational sector.
I would say we're on the positive trend, right? And the way usually I can argue with people and say quality not to one day, not to instance, not to threshold, maybe a minimum threshold, but quality not a trend. And I can say the evidence for say we do the right thing and we're on the right track now, that if you show me any indicator in learning, we do better. In terms of the indicator then are the SDG4, very clear. So access, gender parity, girls education, inclusive education, lifelong learning, adult education, all that they don't expand. And so ultimately we go able confidently say we there on the positive trend. We get plenty work for do, but we there on the right track, and that they give we a lot of hope.
So then another right track that we did talk about in terms of quality in the educational sector at Salone. As the minister, since you take over inside 2 years, you don't able to convince any of your colleague ministers in a cabinet for encourage them, for let them picking them attend the government schools them also not implement the free quality education.
Again, I can get this question and all me company ministers and globally they get this question. And they're not one indicator of quality. The indicator of quality in the system, now I just mentioned. Because school, say you begin to go, if you begin to go PO or Edwards or Laura Dove, that's a choice where the parents they make. And you get various reasons.
But you always get the best choice where you want for let you picking at and in terms of education.
Best
you
different.
have for send aside, also say go get the best among the rest.
Best very different. People then the way they choose for sending begin and both school. Me not think the both school are the best school. Even though I don't say the big palaver people there. A PO me go PO
in
the
this
best
case,
school.
now the government and versus private schools are the
talk about people then the way they choose for sending begin go PO versus both school. If I get boy picking go I want me go PO because na PO na the I feel it's not the best school in the country. And so best you define best space. By the way, actually, people then get a perception, again, myths, okay? And will they publish this data soon? 2 things I want to mention. Over the last couple of years, over the last 3 years, because now they measure, now we get the data for learning assessment. the number of picking them with the pass Beke, number of picking them increased by about, I think, 60%. The pass rate increased now about 13% between 2021 Beke and 2018. And one of the things that were very interesting, and my team just give me this analysis. If you plot private school pass rate across the entire country, and you plot government school and mission school, people then they assume say private school they high pass below government school, but that is not true actually, and what they publish down there. So usually we get a perception about pass rates.
So almost cabinet ministers and picking the benefits from the free quality education.
All man they benefit from free quality education.
Directly, as in
every child in this country they benefit from free quality school education.
Now government schools and in their
No, because free quality school education are about curriculum, now about teacher training, now about standards, now about examination. No matter what side you did, now government pay examination fee. So everybody, this is the myth. Every child in this country, every child, they benefit from free quality school education. If some parents say, me know they benefit from free quality school education because they go private school, then they're being I don't want to say they're dishonest, but they just don't know. So make I inform all fambu and say, no fambu, nobody in this country that will not benefit from free quality school education, none. Because of all the components of FQSE.
Earlier we will start for talk. We will talk about sitting accommodations and other facilities now the schools them. And we look at the dialogue we CSOs get with governments. The education sector now one will be attend this dialogue now put local. And one thing the CSOs, the civil society organizations then come up with now proposal for wash facilities now schools them. When one then being called for then 15% of school subsidies for be part of the issues or the money for address wash issues them now the schools. And also you respond to that now being that the CSOs then they attend the validations. As a ministry of basic and senior secondary education, what thing that you take on the issues of wash facility in our schools them, especially when the education data hub they should see 2 million people exposed to disease them we get for do with hygiene issues in schools then.
So excellent question, and as a follow-up, thank you for mentioning that CSO dialogue. It really they show government in engagement with citizens and how government will listen to citizens them and citizens will listen to government, and then an example of good governance and democracy. Immediately after that, they promise say we will include them in validation, and we do one. So the person, the CSO organization, will be they join with validation on government use, government subsidy use, and it contributes to that process there. And now then they develop a final document out of that validation there. This is the importance of the CSO government dialogue, because then the need for engage on government processes and guidelines. My personal view on it, I've been look at the data for hand washing stations. I think hand washing station between even 2019 and 2018 annual school census been the range from about 67% to something. Now the minimum is over 80% of school, and we get hand washing stations. That is not the same as there is running water. That's not the same as there is pipe-borne water, boreholes or streams. Access of water are different depending on where side people then there. And it also not means if you get pipe, that means the water they flow inside the pipe every day, right? So water is a major thing, because as you say, usually the fact that we need hydration for more continue for land, the fact that we need them for sanitation, the fact that we need them for all things. And we don't engage with the Salwaco and Ministry of Water Resources. We don't meet and put a technical group for wash, and then don't begin to engage. They don't do a feasibility study on how to bring wash. I think they say not a small money, $60 million for bring can water all the school then.
So the proposals now that's one, the school the wash facility for stand alone whenever one they disperse subsidy to schools them, and then they call say 15% of the subsidies then for go to wash facilities now each school them, so that for address this issue. Coming to the 2022 fiscal year, how the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education hope for implement these aspects at the education sector?
We all opinion matter, but we all opinion are just one opinion out of many opinions. And we listen and engage, and we all as a group they collectively decide. I think say in making views heard and the validation, and I think say as everybody with the whatever then decide, whatever not so we they decide, whatever the validation, the stakeholder then decide, now go inside the 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 final guidelines. But even with performance-based financing, I know say wash na a critical element inside with performance-based financing. I mentioned so we get about $19 million, $20 million performance-based financing will they give to primary school then. Over 5,000 primary school and wash na a critical component within the able invest in.
The program Good Morning Salone, they continue. We come back to the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. We don't talk a bit about what's on the happen locally in terms of improving on the educational standards nationally, especially putting quality into the free quality education. Now, let's look at you attend several meetings internationally and represent Salone at different platforms. What can come out of then different meetings and the way you be attend, especially so we get to do it under your direct supervision when at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education.
Thank you very much. The first one we participate in at the COP 26, and they will be made part of the delegation where His Excellency been lead, and my own role I've been for talk about climate education, and on the 5th. We have that denying all the different education ministers that may participate. We engage with several countries there, and for advocate for make the country then we are the largest emitters, we are the wealthiest country then for take climate education seriously. Now the nationally determined contributions for the different countries then out of about 95 countries that would evaluate Salone, now only one of about a dozen we focus on climate education. And we position really not just for Salone but for Africa and the least developing country there. Now that the highest emitters and the people that we get money not good to talk about climate action, we not include climate education. Whereas we they suffer, we not get money, now we they give the responsibility so we people then for make them think about climate education. And so the position where we stress now that all countries then for take climate education seriously, the kind way where we they take it seriously. And as Salone, we don't put inside with curriculum, with basic education curriculum framework, that we call subjects then, and even in SSS we forget environmental science as a subject, as a standalone subject. We get in all the different clubs and all the different engagements in there. So one that before challenge the world, for rise up to we level, for rise up to we standard, and because we believe say not only through education, only through climate education that we'll be able to get a sustainable future, whereas we begin then go able to take care of the environment.
Talking about inclusion of environment education into the curriculum, especially in the JSS or the basic education curriculum, talking about climate issues, na complex issue, how una don broken down for ensure say the picking the more they teach at that level understand the subject matter properly, and also train experts them na the schools them for deliver the notes thing.
Yeah, we are experts then. They help we deliver this, right? So we curriculum framework, they talk about general what we want for do in terms of preparedness for the 21st century, and then they're experts then they now they work. In fact, we work very closely with experts then from Takugama. So Takugama experts then work with we and then help with team with the content as well in the inclusion, and we'll forget more. The thing about we in education, at the Ministry of Education, and usually people then can go panel conference and they not talk no more, then they pan talk. We know to talk we do. We actually they take action, and it's in what they go represent, and it's in what don't do, it's in what they do. And most importantly, if we go na then conference, then they beyond talk. We they make commitment on stage, we they implement her in real time. So for example, when I've been there on one pan the session them, and then we realize say actually almost all country they not get climate education as part of the education sector plan. I did I text Mrs. Momo, them in there, I think Boo and McKinney Denton and they pan the straight consultation. I said when I add this as part of the consultation, then subsequently all the further conversation they wouldn't get and see the team then engage on climate education is that really we get expats them around, and I think we also collaborate a lot with the Ministry of Environment and get an EPA and UNESCO for make sure say we they implement this now.
You attend the UNESCO conference in Paris, and also you attend the COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. What in Salone gained in terms of the education sector and climate issues? Now then, to conference here we represent Salone.
The UK get the presidency of COP this year, and actually a day after we engagement, UK published a strategy for climate education. So then get climate education strategy, and we get several. I meet with the Minister of Schools in the UK. I meet with the Special Envoy from UK, and meet with the FCDO Education Director there, and with the British Council actually, and I get follow-up meeting with British Council Salone next week for further engage on then climate education work then from COP. In terms of UNESCO, one thing we do now UNESCO is that then put Salone as one of the integrate we as part of the high-level steering committee. So you get three main bodies globally around the world where you talk about education. You get Global Partnership for Education, we're now in the raise funds. We go and have for raise $5 billion. We don't raise about $4.5 billion around the world. And at that organization, then they decide how much country then they get money, which country they get money, and Salone the part of the board and the executive committee. Now we they decide on how the money then they scatter. You get the Global Education Monitoring Report, where now in the independent body where they hold the world accountable for SDG for now we the chair that body there, and in fact with the current report we'll then get for launch now on non-state actors and private education actually, because not private education people then can make and say it worse for public education, but you need both, and that and so one thing that we come back with that Salone they don't ask we if for more consider for host the next GEM report launch. The last one at Germany happened. This current one will go launch so na Dubai they happen, and the 2023 one na Salone. They don't ask we for the and then a big honor, a big deal than the for make me UNESCO the Assistant Director General of Education say do you and for consider for host this and then on data and technology actually. So for make me then the around the world, me then thinks if you talk about data, technology, education, a Salone for go, a big honor than for we, and me get for ask the government for hopefully for say yes, we want to host this inside 2023.
At the end of the day, we don't come from then to conference there as well, and you represent the education sector. Earlier, I asked you within Salone don't gain out of then two conferences where the country don't attend, coming to implement them. What are the policies them way una they look at na then schools them for ensure say waiting una go talk and waiting una say una they can implement reflect on the knowledge of the picking them una they can teach the environment issues?
I think that's a very good question. And one panel we don't do differently. We are really proud of actually that we engagement with CSO there and with citizens. Through the toll-free line and the situation room engagement. But with CSO, then we don't give CSO then resources through we project for make me then go now all districts in this country, me then engage and understand. So if I go ask people the question and they tell me what's in the fit I want for you know, or the way they complain to me different from how they complain to CSO then. So I say me the CSO then go engage people then write reports and send that to we, then we they take that report there and act on that. So then I want just independent monitoring. I also mentioned say with the get within the called the NGO consortium, 4 international NGOs, 4 local NGOs, then they part of a consortium where they help we as well for implementing and they take survey, then they all say what thing I want for me we do now that for make sure so we close the loop between citizen and government. And the way for close the loop between citizen and government, now by engaging with the CSO then, by engaging with the NGO then, and by giving a direct line access between the citizen and government. And all the citizens, they get direct access to me. I mean,
Are they protected?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
because it's really make some parents, them especially in fear for come out and speak. Name schools, for example, and because they want for protect them picking them.
You know, it's a where you call you say you know they give you name we they act on that day. I mean we follow up with people then directly for understand, but we know ever they go say maybe in Pekin say that this they happen, or you know Joe in Pekin say that they happen. But we they take action.
How effectively complaint handling mechanism day with the ministry?
With the situation room 80 60 very 24 hours literally. I mean I'll give one example. I guess several examples, but what the UMA the United Muslim School Smart Farm, right. Then call we, then tell we that same day we did come on, it may not been well, man, not been no system, not well. 5 o'clock, then get meeting, then engage the community. Next morning, school open, you know, or like this school now Waterloo, we send this video, so just now we citizens. Then reach out to with some other school in Wilberforce as well, where they go online. It's very rapid, and also where I can engage. I mean, they engage online. The people then they engage online as well.
So as we wrap up the program now when people for expect what's the results for the out?
We try, and again in full engagement with the people then. Teacher then, the school then, the challenge what we get, where Wayek they tell me, is that the teacher they not degree release, then the school they not degree release, then teacher then for go mark. Particularly then private school then.
So then still a mark?
Yeah, because, well, then don't for mark the objective then. We don't run down there for long, but the main subjects then, like English, biology, math, then still the mark. But then private school then, a big, now we all picking there. For release, when a teacher they made them go help mark.
But school day in session, so.
Well, this is the issue. We want more results and come on, more picking and go mark, but then get weigh them, we then go able to get made them teacher then cover. But if the teacher they not go mark, if you not release the teacher for go mark because you want maybe you picking, you feel say you picking them better pass or that picking then we all go suffer. So all man need for sacrifice more. All man need for playing your role. May all the principles then really meet and allow them teacher them for good mark like them done. If that 2 weeks they've been if we would then be assigned if they been show up like they done. But because they not show up, now I make with the extend. Do ya the big man all man play their own part for make sure say the book learning will go before.
Many thanks for you joining the program this morning, Dr. David Senge, Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. Now, this edition of the program, Good Morning Salone, the left on plenty thank you to the production team. Michael Sambola and Alex Lawrence Kruma produced the program. DJ Lava make on see me on Facebook. Give it technical support. And Usman Kamara, sorry, make on see me on Facebook. So till we meet again, Mabel Kabadi say, get yourself a wonderful day. Goodbye.
And Musa Kamara, they say, goodbye.